Well, sorry about that, guys. A little technical difficulty on our video switcher, but we are live. So, just jumping into some of the questions here. Now, apologies, we only have one camera this time. It will get better. But for the most part, Robert, will you say, how well do you think, our last event went, King of Table 14?
I think it went great. I think it's the best production we've ever had. Um, best we've ever done in Istanbul as well. We solved you know, all the issues for video quality. We had to spend a lot more money to do that in order to boost the picture quality up by about 25%. Is that the right number?
Oh, actually, it's a lot more than that. In terms of pixel count, in the past, it was always being streamed at 720p, and this time it went up to 1080i. So it's a stark difference. We had to bring in an additional internet box in order to facilitate the increased bandwidth in Istanbul. So yeah.
Yep. So yeah, real happy with that. Um, Also, just how smooth everything went. Um, so yeah, I think it was just a big win for us.
Okay. Well, diving into questions. How long did it take you before you realized the strap was your best friend since you started the sport? From
Did it
Scott
take?
Evans.
Oh,
You know,
Scott Evans, he's funny. Uh, it probably took me. It probably took me a few years to understand that, but yeah, I do like the strap.
I'm increasing the volume a little bit more. Okay,
Okay.
that should be better. Boost. Okay. All right, sounds good. I think everybody's on board. East versus West Canada visa issue improving. Um, you want to take that, Robert?
Sure. Yeah, nothing's improving yet for Canada visas. They're more difficult to get than the United States visas, but we did make a big um, leap forward with American visas. Uh, Levon wasn't able to get his visa to come to Chicago. The Georgian embassy in Tbilisi was closed, and everything was rescheduled, and it was looking pretty bleak. And so uh, I was able to contact uh, the Utah Senator Mike Lee and ask him to write a letter to get Levon in. And not only did his letter get Levon in, he also asked for Iraqli and Levon's wife, and so they all got visas immediately. So that's good. I hate to use him for everybody because I don't know how many more times he's going to be able to do special favors for us, but um, we'd like him to work with our Russian athletes. That'd be the most difficult to get Russians in America right now before the war ends. Um, but once we solve that problem with Russian visas, we're really home free for the U.S. Canada remains a problem.
Yeah, I think without the high level political support in America, it would have been a trouble hosting this big of an event here in Chicago, here in the United States, really. So it will probably take a little bit more time in Canada. The next question is, what about adding some sort of laser line at the pin pad to make it easier for refs to review uh, and identify when the laser crosses the wrist, finger, etc.?
I think that's a great idea. I think either a string or a laser um, is better. That's, I think, the future. We've got to talk to Ingen too to make sure everything is compliant with WAF. But I think that is the way we need to end up going. It
But
all
but I'll caution this though. that also means there's less advertising space.
Yeah,
So we haven't really used it very much yet, but I think as the sport grows, there'll be more interested advertisers who may want to pick up that sport. So
yeah. I think it's better though, when you weigh the two options, that the audience, the fans, get to see the full match, the full pin. They the pin pad blocks a lot of that on the pin. So without a pin pad, it's better for the fan experience, which is where I think EVW has to be focused, is the fans.
um, how many matches in the next event?
Well, Ingan and I are talking about that right now. Um, there'll be at least 10 matches. Um, so we're not we haven't finalized the exact count yet, but at least that number.
Okay. When will Monster Michael Todd's opponent be announced?
That will be when Ingan's ready to announce that, but very soon.
Let's see. Does Ali Jean have visa for USA?
Not currently.
We are working on it. We are working on it. And when the time comes, so, just for everybody's sake, every athlete we are working, well, that we have future plans for, they're working on their own visas. Some of them have obtained them independently without any political assistance. Now, but for in the case like say Levon, right? If he doesn't get it, we'll be in big trouble. So then we'll only pull in political support for those individuals. But a lot of other athletes have already started applying, and the process could take months. But so if Alijan has a match say in September, then perhaps, and he hasn't obtained it sometime in August, that's maybe when we'll call in political support to ensure that he gets it in time. So that's kind of the process. But in Canada, we don't really know anybody upper in the political world, so that's the challenge in Canada. Let's see. Bowen did a good job at King of the Table, right? I think many people agrees with that. Let's see. Nice podcast, good information. Thank you, Ignacio. Well, uh, a lot of support on Ryan. Well, and I think Ryan's on the podcast here, so very good. Okay, Sebastian asked me, who does Dexter have in Hermes versus Levon rematch? As the organizer, we have to publicly appear impartial. Uh, so I'm gonna leave it as that. Because we can, as the part of the organizing team, we cannot show favoritism. The main thing that Robert and I and Ingen, our main goal is to have a close match, an interesting match that everybody wants to see, and it's not a quick flash pin all four matches. Then that's kind of a little bit boring. So I want interesting matches. I think that's our top priority. So I'm sure that's what goes through Ingen's mind whenever he sets a match. It's how close they are in terms of power and technical skills and capability. So I'm going to defer to that. That's what
Well,
I'll
I,
have
I,
it.
I think I can answer part of that without breaking our rule. But
Yeah.
so I think, and I think everybody at EVW agrees that Hermes stylistically matches up very well with Levon. And so for that reason, I think this is going to be a very interesting match and really could go either way. Um, I think Levon is still favored, though. Um, I've reading some comments with Levon's world record arm curl, bicep curl, and then Hermes 92 kg back pressure lift, and both of those are extremely impressive. And you know, is it more of an advantage to have better bicep curl, or more advantage to have more back pressure? I think it's a really interesting match. I mean, I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah. Next one. I'm trying to fold that chain, and it says, I don't know how to pronounce his name really well, so I apologize for that. But Savatan Gashivsky, when will he get his match? He won a qualifier, and oh, yeah, Svetlin Gashevsky. He won a qualifier and never got a match. Maybe you want to talk a little bit about the process of how does a winning a qualifier and tie it into an invite to the main event.
Yeah, so if they win the finals qualifier, then they have earned the right to get a match. Ingen will work them in, and he's actually working in one of those qualifiers in Chicago. Can't announce who it is yet, but Ingen will be announcing that coming up here in the next coming days.
Okay. Is it planned to do a public/live stream weigh-ins? The fan base are obsessed with athletes' weights, so it would add a lot of hype and transparency, of course. Any plans of that?
Yeah, I think we should do that, and we've talked about it. Ingen really likes the idea as well. So, yeah, we will plan for Chicago to do just that, and ongoing.
Yeah, this time we did it a little differently, whereby now for everybody's sake, when somebody is about to compete, the following days leading up to the main event, everybody has their own mental plan sometimes, right? And some of that involves being isolated, preparing mentally, meditating or whatever. And there are some obligations, athletes' obligations, like attending VIP dinner, signing autograph, pre-match interviews, etc. Right, and that's taking a lot of time. Now, weigh-ins is an additional thing, right? And so this time, what we did in Istanbul was we had most of the super heavies weigh themselves on Thursday night at the VIP banquet. That way, we can just get it out of the way, and it didn't really matter what the timing was because technically there's no weight limit. So we did that, and then the morning of Friday, we had all the rest of the athlete under the super heavyweight class. They were filmed by Ingen, and we had very often we had both competitors in the same match were in attendance to verify that their opponent met the weight requirement. So at the very least, there was no hanky panky going on because if both athletes, both competitors agree and accepted the weigh-ins, that was good enough. But I think we could do a matter of fact. There's actually a talk where we could even combine it uh, during a press conference style. So they would weigh in during the face off after the whole press conference. So there we'll figure it out, and I think fans would also like to see and the progress of certain athlete and how their weight changes over time. Next, can you go into detail about each ticket for Chicago? Yeah, absolutely. So if you go to, I believe we have a poster that just came out. If you go to evwsports.com, tickets for VIPs are out. This time we had, because of some pricing and availability of the venue and the hotel, we made all VIPs by default not have hotels included in their package, but it is an option for them to add up to 3 nights. Now, for the other tickets, we have gold, silver, and general admissions. And if you click through the ticket options on our website, you will see roughly where you will be seated, but basically golds will be seated behind VIP, silver will be behind
Goals.
gold, and general admissions behind silver. So that's kind of the general layout. It will be a rectangular room. It it is not super wide, but kind of deep. So everybody has a central view, and there wouldn't be any terrible side angles. So that's how Robert and the venue has got it set up. Let's see. Next question.
So just before we go on, though, yeah. So what we are doing is we're making the rows a little narrower, just like you said, Dexter, so that everybody has optimal views, which means we have a little bit more limited seating. It's going to be very tight. We expect to sell out. This will be the best card, maybe ever, but certainly the best card in on American soil. So this will be a big one. We do have a limited. We would like to have had twice as much seating. We think we would have filled it, but with the Chicago venues, very difficult to get a good venue or a big venue without having about a year's notice. So next year, things will be different. We'll have a much more seating and availability.
Yeah. Is Dawn still involved?
No.
What is the review process? For me, there were too many, and they took too long. Yeah, this is something that we recognized, and uh, and we will make adjustments to expedite the whole review process. Now, just to give you an idea, the control room, as you can see, that there are like hundreds and hundreds of switches, and two of the switchers controls the replay. One of them, when they hit it, it goes back automatically 5 seconds from the end of a pin. The other is 10 seconds behind, that goes all the way back to the pin. However, if there are multiple um, like protests in a single match, and one of them uh, leads back all the way to a false start, and that false start falls outside the 10-second parameter, that becomes a slight challenge for the control room guys to go back in time. It's kind of a messy situation. Would you say that that's accurate? Right?
Yeah,
Adam?
that's accurate, and we're going to be able to do it much faster this next one.
Yeah. So we've got plans in place to purchase more of the equipment ourselves versus leasing them. That way we can preset all these way ahead of time and test them way ahead of time. Like such as there was an error on the first stats, no, for the first match stats. That was also due to switching computer systems at the very last second. So that's something that we will work on, and as promised, right? We messed up the lighting, and we got it fixed. Audio, we got it fixed. Most of the production problems have got it fixed. So now replays are the things that we're gonna be working on. So it's fine tuning the little details, and as you follow us, there'll be less and less to almost very very little issues. So thank you for supporting us thus far. Any certain special guests possibly coming to EVW 18 in Chicago? The NFL
Well,
guys.
yeah. So we're talking to different groups in the NFL, also arm wrestlers. We haven't actually locked in anybody yet, but we're talking to several special guest athletes that won't be announced yet, but we're working on it.
Is Matt Mass pulling?
We can't announce anything one way or another yet, but Ingen will be announcing that shortly as well.
Do athletes have like a special case for visas, or it's the same process as a normal citizen? The athletes do have a special case for visas. the more prominent athlete you are, say like in the case of Levon, he's very well known in his own country, because one of the main criteria is attachment to their home country. That would not give them any more reasons to stay and skip their plane ride home, right? So the more relationships and connections back home, like a job, like families and assets, and right now it's how popular he is in Georgia. The likelihood of him skipping town, and well, I mean, skipping his return flight is very, very low. So that's one of the key points that the U.S. Embassy looks at. Let's see. Nice haircut. Oh yeah. Well, I was really pissed with my barber yesterday. Cut it a little too short for my liking. uh, there has been a lot of talks about EVW, well, East versus West, and King of the Table cards. Is there plans to differentiate between the events?
We have had plans to differentiate. We're not sure going forward exactly how we're gonna do things. So that'll be a wait and see.
Let's see. Next one. Maybe a camera grid. Great promotion and audio. Thank you. Ryan did a great job. I agree. Let's see. Literally could talk all day about the match. Hermes and Levon too. Great. Sorry, I'm just scrolling down the chat. Are there any plans in the future to have an arm wrestling house like the the Ultimate Fighter reality TV show? I mean, between Robert and I, we have talked a lot about it. We've talked with other people. There's a lot of interest, and I mean, there's a lot of. If you can see, we are inching our way towards that direction. We are doing a lot more what I call special videos of getting to know the athletes a little bit better. But the ultimate goal is to have a reality TV show just like that, because that is one of the reasons that we believe that how UFC exploded, when the fans could connect with the athletes a little bit better. Wouldn't you say so, that?
Yeah, I think so. Yep, I think that needs to happen. So the question is who's the best person or the best group to do that? So we're talking to several people, that have the same idea. To EVW, it doesn't really matter who does it. It's just somebody needs to do that, I think.
Yeah. The next is the Swiss Arm Sport Federation asks why we don't have a small women category like 52 kilograms.
Well, Incan could weigh in more than me on this, but it's really about numbers. There's just not enough of the 50 kg women to make a class and to have, regular attendance, with, top athletes. So 60 kg is where we start with EVW.
Sanka was saying, what about a DRS system similar to cricket? An athlete gets 2 reviews a match maximum, and if he gets it right, he keeps the reviews. That's not bad. So they can, an athlete can necessarily keep review this, protest, unlimited protest. Not very much athlete, protest anyway. I mean, look at Arlington. I think we had 0 protests.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, in WAF, it is limited as well. You've got 1 protest per match, and so there might be 2 instances of a infraction, but you can only pick 1.
Okay. So Ingen's official answer is we don't plan to start a 52 kilogram category, but we will have a match for Snezana in Switzerland. So there we have it.
Okay, Ingen announced it.
Yeah,
That's an early one.
he's the arm wrestling guru.
Yep.
Let's see. A lot of inner discussion. Is Robert planning to unify East versus West at King of Table and have one main league?
We've thought a lot about it, from the very beginning, talking about having one main league. I always wanted to have, the two different brands and see if we could build King of the Table up to where East versus West is and have two equal or almost equal leagues. Don't know if that's possible. So the jury's out on that one. I think conventional wisdom in business would say one league.
One league. But perhaps there's a place for King of the Table for, we're not gonna probably throw it away. That doesn't make sense to throw it away, but yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's see. It's better to talk about it and act with transparency and support. Yep. That's exactly what we are. We don't want. Oh, man. This thing just flew away. Sorry. Sometimes when the message just goes really long and I scroll down, it pops all the way to the end, and I don't want to skip anybody. I feel terrible about that. Okay. Can we please have the referees announce the athlete score, fouls, and warnings before every round? It only takes a couple seconds and it clear a lot of confusion. Michael Workspace, that's something that is our plan. Matter of fact, I think it was Benji who sent me a text saying, "What about this idea?" And I thought that was brilliant. I think instead of just hand gesture sometimes, especially now that it was a little faint, but it was there as a backup camera. We had a shotgun camera. If you saw the top down camera view, we had a shotgun camera attached to that thing, where it was able to capture the refs. So if the refs were yelling 1-0, instead of on top of their hand gestures, that would help both the internal production team and as well as the fans. So yes, that is the idea. It may take a while for them to get used to it, because I don't think they are I think just hand gesture was their way of doing things, but that would solve a little bit of the confusion internally as well. Ice hockey and basketball arena would be best. Overall, Jumbotron is great. I agree, Antilla, but we were just being realistic here. We aren't able to fill a basketball arena just quite yet. Maybe maybe next year. I think it could be as early as next year where the sport blows up, and we would love to host something in a much bigger venue. Robert, this is probably for you. How long before someone can be a proficient arm wrestler?
I would say proficient, within a year, really reaching their their higher level. I mean, professional. 3 years is typically the time frame, and that's pretty early actually. But most people would probably agree that it would be 5 years until people can really reach their potential.
Okay. Let's see. It's about the reviews again. We've answered that. Foul elements. The energy is going to be high. Quality rematch incoming. Somebody asked, will EVW come to Malaysia? Well, I think it's public information now, but Malaysia about 3 weeks ago voted to return to WAF, which means Malaysia is now qualified or eligible to host an EVW event there. The only thing we would need is local support, right? So if we can get enough local support, then I'm from Malaysia, so I'm going to be a little bit biased, and I will want to go there. But again, I have to be realistic. That there is one one thing that we absolutely need whenever we go to a venue, a location, it is local support. Like we could not have done a lot of the events without local support.
And I think maybe you should mention too, Dexter, so people know that you took a trip to Malaysia a few months back and met with the president of the Malaysian Arm Wrestling Federation.
So I'm going back there in June. Now that's official, to meet with the Minister of Youth and Sport, along with Zil, the master head ref in Malaysia, and see how the government can assist in growing the sport in Malaysia, and hopefully host an event there someday. Hopefully soon.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Next. Ooh, Robert, you might want to point the tip here right into your mouth.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, it's pointing to your chin now. Yeah, there we go. There we go. There we go. Let's see. Yeah, Ingen's answering half the questions here. Great. About when do we release matches, and it's we are releasing it slowly day by day. But like today, we announced Lavon and Hermes. It is the match, potentially the match of the year. So that's why we didn't want to, like sort of muddle the announcements of the day with anything else. And so the whole focus is on Hermes and Lavon today. Somebody is asking about the pit style setup from WAL, and they like seeing fans' reaction. We have considered that. I mean, the first exposure we did was in King of the Table 13 in Atlantic City, where we had something like that, and
previous EVWs have had it as well.
yeah.
We decided not to do it at this last EVW in Istanbul, but I think that there's a really good case for doing it wherever we can. Not all venues will allow for it very well, so but I think we do want to do it wherever we can.
Yeah. Would it be possible to use King of the Table as an event for where there is not East versus West, but say American versus American or Russian versus Russian? Maybe. I mean, we still haven't settled on what the direction is for King of the Table yet. I mean, that's one idea, but yeah, if you have any other ideas, send them in. We'll take that in consideration, and some of the best ideas come from fans like you guys. Let's see. Yeah, do you like the idea? Like the idea. Are EVW straps going to be available in the shop? So the first batch of straps that we got was very easy on the skin. Would you say that? So
Yeah.
it's great training straps, and we are looking to source competition straps, so that you'll be able to speak better to that, right?
Yeah. So the first batch of straps from EVW, like Dexter said, they're a little smooth. They're a little they're more gentle on the skin, but it also makes it more easy for the buckle to loosen up, unless you prep the strap with some chalk. So if you just kind of run some chalk in your hands through the strap a few times, that really helps, makes it tighten up, keeps it tight, while also keeping the soft texture of the strap.
Yep. Next question. It's for you, Robert. How long did it take you to recover from that cold plunge with Devin?
It probably took me a day or so. Devin had a harder time. He said he lost 7 pounds after that cold plunge. But shivering the whole time, it probably helped him to lose that weight.
Go 46 minutes and 20 seconds or something?
I think it was 45 minutes and 9 seconds.
Oh, yeah, it was pretty nuts. the other question is core sports gone now? Well, core sports was never ours to begin with. Uh, Basically, it was just the acquisition of the assets of core sports, and one of them was just King of the Table.
Yeah, you're right. We had nothing to do with core sports, so I don't know the answer to that question.
What rules improvement can be made to eliminate long pauses? I'm a new casual viewer, and often it's 20 minutes of setup and pauses and 5 minutes of actual arm wrestling. I think one of the first things we did was to start having timers. So we limit, you know, in between rounds, we kept it at 90 seconds. Is there a chance to drop it further down to 60 seconds, Robert? What do you think?
Yeah, I think there is. I've talked to Ingen about that. He thinks that if we do that, we need to let the athletes know in plenty of time so they can train their intervals for 60 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't be fair to them to drop it on them right now, for example, for Chicago. But yeah, we have talked about that, and I think that makes a lot of sense. I'm going to talk to Ingen more about that, but yeah, anything we can do to speed up the process, because ultimately, I believe that we have to be 3 hours or less for prime time for to be a mainstream sport. Everybody is 3 hours or less. So we'll always have our hardcore fans that'll watch for hours and hours on end, and 6 hours is no problem. But for to really make this sport what it's capable of, and to pay our athletes like real athletes from other mainstream sports, we need to comply.
Next question. Are you still partners with Larry Wheels or Matt Rhodes?
Nope. So I've never been partners with them. I think that was early on with Adam Silver and maybe Don. Can you confirm that, Adam? So confirmed.
Confirmed. Yeah. When will EVW be in Italy? If Hermes wins.
Yeah.
If Hermes wins.
It's really up to Hermes. We should direct that to him. I wish he was here.
So if all of you from Italy go and support Hermes, right? Give him whatever he needs: moral support, emotional support, physical, food support, all the support you can give him.
Yeah. Well, we do notice that when Hermes is pulling, the pay-per-views from Italy are way up. I mean,
Yep.
there's a lot of support in Italy. So based on that alone, I think if Hermes does very well, we could that would make sense to, I think, have an event in Italy.
There's another one says, we need East versus West in Japan. That would be so epic.
Yeah, I've wanted to do that for quite some time, even before I got involved with, on the business side with East versus West. I've always loved Japan. I went to 2 WAF World Championships in Japan, and both of them were among the very best, maybe the best ever. Great audience there, very devoted fans, and everything's just next level there. I mean, on technology, on quality, on service, and so I love it there. I went to Japan the first time in 1999, WAF World Championships. That's where I met Devin, and Devin challenged Bob Brown or actually Bob challenged Devin to a push-up contest. Bob could do quite a few push-ups, and they got to, I think it was 150 push-ups, and Bob said, "Hey, how many more can you do?" And he said, "I can go all day." So Devin could do 1,800 push-ups in a row. So, but anyway, that's where I first met Devin. Was in Tokyo, Japan, '99, and then I went back again for Worlds there in 2005, and they haven't held him there for, I think that's the last time they've held him there. I'd love to go back.
Let's see. Any chance we see Shaq attend East versus West as a guest?
We were hoping to get him to come to attend in Arlington because he lives in Texas. I didn't have a way to contact him. Devin didn't keep his contact information, but reached out to him on Instagram, and he didn't respond. Probably has too many people responding that way, but we'll try to get a hold of him for sure when he comes to when we go to Texas next time.
A lot of support about having an event in Canada right now. That's what I'm reading, and that's definitely on our radar. Like Devin versus Levon, number 3. Can you imagine, Robert?
It'd be, even if it wasn't Devin versus Levon, which I think it should be, that will be, and I've always said this, Toronto will be the biggest venue, the biggest crowd in history. As long as it's a big match with Devin, the whole country of Canada will come to support, and also the U.S. and other countries as well. So, I want nothing more than to have a big event in Toronto. And it's all the visa issues. If we could get political support there, like we have in the U.S., we could probably pull it off. That's something I probably should do is work with Devin, because Devin may have some political connections. He could help us connect us with the right political leaders there.
This one you'll like, Robert, because I know you're, you want to see him in the future. But any chance we'll see Kirill Sarachev on one of the cards in the future?
That's an Ingen question. I hope so, though. I think Kirill, would be a great addition. Don't know who the best person to match him with right now would be. I'm not sure if Brian Shaw and Kirill is the right one. I mean, Ingen would know best, but that would be something in the future that we would look at.
Nick's, well, and Benji, to clarify, no, Robert is not a 2 times WAF world champion. It's 7. All right, get your numbers straight, Benji. This is Robert, the hidden champion with his cold plunge abilities. Let's see. What about aliens? No, I'm gonna skip that. Okay. There is a little question about referees. Why referees hate Georgy Zverov? I don't think that's the case. I think that might be I don't know how you want to answer it, but I don't think there's any foul plays within the refs whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard arguments the other way that that the refs were against, or that they were making calls against Camille. So I'm not sure what the case is, but the refs are closest to it. They're calling it as they see it. So I think we have to support our refs' decisions. I don't know. I didn't see how Georgy was disadvantaged.
Yeah. Somebody said Robert is like an encyclopedia.
No, I'm actually nowhere near the level of our founder here, Ingen.
I mean, you are close, and but you just don't. People you sometimes appear unassuming. I think that's what it is.
Oh,
yeah, and I think many people don't even know you're a 7-time WAF world champion, right? There's that too. Let's see. There's a lot of a lot of Russians feel like uh, Zurinov was robbed, but hmm, maybe we'll do a rematch. I don't know. That's not my lane. I know I might be saying things like that, but it's not my lane. Let's see those. Uh, well, combat sports is like apparently to be challenging Devin because he's saying that those push-ups are 2 centimeters deep. Like, well, why don't you upload a video about you doing 10? We'll talk.
I've seen Devin doing push-ups, and um, they were pretty strict, the ones I saw him do. And this was back when he could do a lot of Now, at 300 pounds, I doubt he could do very many push-ups, but a lot more than I could, but still not nearly 1,800, I'm sure.
One of the question is any future events in Los Angeles or Vegas?
We would like to do something in Vegas, and so I am talking to some venues in Vegas, possibly Los Angeles. Not sure about that one yet, but I've talked to a few people. Travis Preventure is one of them, who's very close, very tied in with that, the Los Angeles market. So possibly Los Angeles. I think more likely Vegas.
The pay-per-view will be up very shortly,
Mm-hmm.
right? We're just uploading a couple more assets, and then it'll be on the app. So yes, pay-per-view will be up shortly.
Mm-hmm.
Did King of the Table change ownership? Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I think. Okay. Well, I have one last question. Can you ask Robert and Ingen? The whole East is mad, or okay? Well, we kind of address Georgi Zoranov's thing. It is up to Ingen's decision to make that rematch or whatsoever. But another one says San Diego would be better. I'm sure everybody wants an event in their home city, right?
Actually, San Diego is a good choice. Yeah, I'm not sure if it'd be better than Los Angeles for us, but it would be definitely a good option.
To speed things along, would it be possible to have every match start in ref's grip?
Yes. So that's our next step. If and getting things smoother and faster and eliminating pauses, as was mentioned earlier, that would be the next step. Is just go straight to ref's grip. We're trying to give people a chance to get a grip. If the refs can see that they're not going to get a grip within the first, even within the first 5 seconds, if they can see that they're not going to get a grip, it's up to the ref, and he can go right to ref's grip. Once they're in ref's grip, then the rest of that match is all in ref's grip. So that's a positive change, I think, for the better for as far as time goes. The next step, though, would be to eliminate the setup opportunity and just go straight to ref grips on all matches.
The next one is how do athletes get paid per match? The only thing we'll say is they do get paid, and they're always paid. Now, if you're asking about the amount, that is pretty private, and I don't, would you want your paycheck amount to be out in the public? So we are gonna keep that private, right?
Yeah.
Dexter, did you upload a behind the scenes video for the last event? We did record stuff. It was less about the event and more about the setup and preparation this time. So yes, we will plan on uploading some a behind the scenes. Are there any plans to promote athletes at a similar level to Devin Larratt in the future? Matter of fact, if you see our last event, every athlete not only did they do the pre-match interviews, we had them do a quick short, right? Like a three things that we don't know about you, right? So we had people who says, well, I cry during movies, and it was Michael Todd, by the way. And then we have people like Jocelyn, who's a bookworm who reads a lot of books, so she's pretty smart right there, right? So those are some of the things. And we also did a quick special video that was a more sit down and getting to know their occupation. Like, did you know we had multiple medical surgeons who were competing in our last event, right? And so one of the questions I asked, Georgi Tautiev, like, aren't you afraid that your wrists or fingers get hurt and then your profession, your career is over? But you can tell that these people are absolutely, it almost feels like they're arm wrestlers first, and they're just working to support their hobby and their professional, their love for the sport. So there's a lot of things like we are doing that to give more eyeballs on every athlete, and not just Devin. And we want every athlete that goes through and competes at East versus West to be, having fans of their own. Right?
Yep. So let me just add to that too. That's a good question, because I think that's the key to our success and arm wrestling success as far as mainstream, is we have to create and we have to help our athletes become really superstars, not just Devin, but we need a whole bunch of Devins. And so that's our job at EVW, is to help promote our athletes. We're doing mini documentaries right now. So we're interviewing and doing behind the scenes and life history of athletes, not just as an athlete, but as a person. Tell us about your family. Tell us about your work. What do you do? If they have to work, where do they work? And those mini documentaries is really what's going to help build everybody up, but it has to start with the athletes. It can't be building up EVW first. It's got to be building the athlete first, because that's where the fan base comes from. It's from the athletes. People don't start watching arm wrestling matches because they just tuned into an East versus West event. They become a fan of a certain arm wrestler or certain arm wrestlers. Then they want to watch that arm wrestler compete. And that place they compete for us is EVW. So it actually helps EVW. It helps the whole sport. Helps us reach our goal, which is we want all of our athletes to be paid like they deserve, not what they're worth, but what they deserve, and and those two will come into equilibrium at some point, because we pay our athletes, from a business standpoint, more than they're worth. But Ingen's always said, we want to pay them what they deserve from the very beginning, and eventually, things will equalize out. But yeah, we're quite a ways away from that, but we're headed in the right direction.
Next question is, who has higher position in the entire organization? I think
I wouldn't say, and there's one higher so much. I mean, in an organization, you would say normally the CEO, but within our organization, we've got certain roles, and Ingen and I agreed from the very beginning that we both thought that he should remain as the person in charge of matchmaking, the person in charge of rules, and there's reasons for the rules as well, because we have to comply with WAF as much as possible, and Ingen is more tied to WAF than anybody I know, so he should be the one for that. He obviously should be the one for matchmaking, and also for the announcer and commentators. So those are the three areas that really is it's really Ingen's responsibility, And then, Dexter, your responsibility is in the social media and the video um, and technology. It's because of Dexter here that we were actually switched to a different platform from Core Sports to what we have now with Kiswi, and it was a big improvement. I think everybody can agree that it was a huge improvement. We now have apps we have now another app that was just released
Roku. Yeah.
that we just
Yep.
and very expensive, by the way, to build our own apps, but it creates a better experience for our pay-per-view viewers. Something else I probably should mention, though, that we do need the community support on is the pay-per-view numbers are trending downward because more and more people are are looking for pirated versions. Now we're doing what we can to stop that, so we're stopping the stream, early on usually, but then they'll try to find another stream or they'll go to another country and try to work around that, and that's really hurting us as an organization because we have to bring in revenue from the ticket sales, the live ticket sales, to to remain in a healthy position. So we could go much faster if we ask the community to help us and to really point out if there's an illegal stream, send it in to contacts at EVW Sports, and that's a plural, right?
Oh, we changed it because now we brought in a bigger team, so it's copyright at EVW Sports.
Okay, copyright at
Singular.
EVW Sports. You can also let me know or Dexter know, and then just what you can to to help us grow the sport that we all love, and that it's really to all of our advantages to bring this sport to where it's capable and where it deserves. But we can't do it as long as the illegal streams continue at the rate that they are.
Okay. Another one says they want more Nugo because they're a big Nugo fan now. So I'm pretty sure after his match with Matt Mass, he probably gained a whole ton of popularity. Absolutely.
Yeah, in fact, I've got to talk to Ingen about that very subject because I think there are ways that we can really promote Nugo if Nugo's okay with it, because I think that if we can sell the story, and it's all true, that Nugo has Tourette's syndrome, and look what he's done. He's taken that disadvantage and turned it into an advantage. That creates lots of fans, and I would think that Nugo would be okay with that. But I've got to talk to Ingen and talk to Nugo. That's one thing that we should do, I think. But it's really up to Nugo if he's willing to, if he's comfortable, with that.
Is Devin's documentary coming out soon? He showed us a small little clip there. He sent it to Robert and I, and it looks pretty good. But I don't know. It's not developed internally, so we have no control, or are we aware of any timelines? But this is what I'll tell you. We do have two documentaries coming out. A Levant documentary and an Iraqi documentary. And this was done while prior to our Georgian event where Ingen was there a week early to do all that filming. So stay tuned for that one. And that should be out, within the next couple of weeks before the match. So that would be a pretty good, documentary to watch before Chicago.
Yeah, I think Adam came a week early as well.
Yeah.
And then also, too, another documentary that's coming out that's going to be big is Devin's documentary. That wasn't done through EVW. That was done through Balboa Studios, which is tied in with Sylvester Stallone. And so that'll be like a Netflix type of a documentary. It should really help our sport.
Okay. Somebody, suggested maybe a $40-$50 arm wrestling seminar and workshop with an elite, legendary athlete a day or two before the event. And maybe a workshop with a few athletes working with everyone and teaching fans. Ooh, I really like that. I
Yeah.
really like that.
Yeah. I think it's a good idea.
But right now it's available and it's called the VIP package, guys. But no, something on a larger scale that is more accessible, right? Kids maybe as a massive discount or free. I don't know. This is something we'll have to discuss, but I really
Mhm.
like that because that's how we grow the sport, teaching people. Uh, let's see.
We're at an hour, just so you know.
Okay, we are at an hour. We'll try to wrap things up pretty quickly. Um, let's see. Yeah, Robert. Yep, that's character development. Okay, Drake asks me, what made me invest my time into arm wrestling, and were you into combat sports growing up? Love that y'all do this, by the way. Uh, I think, well, first of all, right, I've known Robert a couple of years now, and within our small little group, my office is on the opposite side of the floor, on the same floor as Robert, and we got for lunch here and there. We got couple of things, together, and we'll joke around with arm wrestling, and obviously I can't even move him, a millimeter maybe, not that, but and we will do it over lunch. So I never really got into it. I never really understood, and it was, to me, arm wrestling was all about side pressure and without even moving the body, it was completely like
Arm strength.
terrible, like
Mm.
just absolutely terrible. And then he says, "Hey, I got this thing, and maybe I can, you want to come follow me to Istanbul and check it out and see what arm wrestling is all about." I was like, "Okay, well, we'll see how good arm wrestling is." And then when I got to East versus West 15 in October last year with Robert, and when I saw Ingen's production there, I was like, "Whoa, this is not the arm wrestling I thought about." And so then I saw, like, well, that there, if for someone like me who had zero arm wrestling knowledge, I didn't even know anybody there. I didn't even know who Devin was at that time. I didn't know anybody, and for me to be so quickly convinced that this is a sport that many people could get involved in, why not? Because if you think about it, there is very few sport that you could play till you're in your 70s and competing at a very high level, right? And and it's actually very exciting once you, now that I'm understanding a little bit more of the sport now, and I'm still not very good, but I understand a little bit more about the sport. It's very exciting. And so now it's, how do I convert more people like myself? Because I think people like myself represent 99.9% of the population of the world. So even if we start making a dent into the 1%, just getting 1% of the whole population, this sport is massive, right? So I think there's a lot of future for the sport, and that's why I'm taking, investing my time to invest in something that has a big potential, essentially. Um, yeah, and I said, nice to see you. Oh, one ask, is Cup Pop good? It's great. It's absolutely great. If you have one near you, try it. It's absolutely great.
So let me just add to that. So when Devin was here, I don't know, probably most people know, I invited Devin to come to Utah. He had never been to Utah, um, and he instantly agreed. Um, but I wanted to introduce him to Diesel Brothers, which is a similar fan base as arm. They're basically perfect arm wrestling audience, and they have 4.3 million followers. They've had 9 seasons as a reality TV show as well, and I wanted them to collaborate with Devin and vice versa, because it would help him as an athlete, and we want to help our athletes as much as possible. It would also help EVW and the whole sport. So while he was here, in doing the filming, that we had probably 50 hours worth of video, just an incredible amount of video, great stuff. from that. We also took Devin to all of the restaurants that we are affiliated, that we're part of. So I have the Five Guys in Canada, mainly in Canada. So I took him to Five Guys and said, what do you think? He's had Five Guys before, and then I took him to Blaze Pizza, which we have. It's a Pasadena, California concept that's all over the world now, and he liked that. And then I took him to Cut Bop, or actually Dexter took him to Cut Bop, and we all went there. And I said, which one do you like the best? He said, boy, they're all great, but Cut Bop. I mean, I have to pick one. Cut Bop is the best. So he just wanted, and so we went twice. We only went once to Five Guys, once to Blaze, but we went twice to Cut Bop. So anyway, Devin endorsed. It's Devin endorsed.
Now, I know this is supposed to be arm wrestling, but since it's a AMA session for Robert and I'm just going to do a plug. We are looking to expand Cup into Canada, right? And we are looking at mostly, Vancouver or Toronto area. If you know of a really good location, send us the link.
Yeah.
It's a shameless plug.
And another, since we're on plugs, we're trying to wrap up sponsorships for Chicago. So
right.
if you know of any sponsors, or if you're from the Illinois area, local sponsors would love this event as well. So, but we've got to wrap it up quickly because we're printing our merch, our jerseys, and we've got to have the logos for the sponsors to do that. So, if anybody has any ideas or any suggestions, please get a hold of either me or Dexter. So it's Dexter at EVWsports.com or Robert at EVWsports.com.
Another one talked about costs for the pay-per-views. Now, just to point out, though our cost has increased over the past few years, but Ingen, through his recommendation, we have decided not to move the price at all for the next foreseeable future to make sure that it stays that way and stays affordable for everybody. So there's that. So no plans in increasing prices. So another one says, please make a deal with Setanta Sports in Georgia so that the TV show will be distributed in the whole country. So I'm guessing it's like maybe a ESPN equivalent in Georgia.
Good idea.
That is the goal. We do want to be on broadcast instead of on pay-per-view because I think we will reach a lot more people and grow a lot faster.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. And a few more questions. Are there any open positions for EVW? How to apply?
Maybe in graphics, you could talk about that.
I don't think it's open position.
Or to add, because we need to add another person.
We always are looking for good people in media. So it could be in the form of video editors. If you're a pretty good video editor, we would like to collaborate with you and see how we can work something out. The same goes with graphic designers as well. But in terms of like a full-time position, that's not right now. Somebody pointed out that they heard that there was over 25 to 30,000 viewers that pirated our stream. So we lost about $400,000 in revenue. How difficult it is to stop these unauthorized live streams. I think the biggest thing, like in the past, it was ppv.land. And as you might have seen, they do no longer stream arm wrestling videos. We employ a proprietary technology to take these videos down. And so the big players are kind of gone. It's now all the personal, private, pirated streams that gets distributed, in the smaller channels, and they don't have a lot of viewers. They might only have a dozen viewers, and collectively, you have 1,000 pirated streamers. streaming to 12 different people, that's 12,000 pirate views, right? So that's the challenging part now, because they are so small, they go underground. What all you guys could do, like Robert mentioned, send an email to copyright@evwsports.com, bring it during the live stream especially, and we'll be able to work and take those down. Okay, so we'll take one last question, and we'll call it good. Can we announce the rest of the East versus West event for the rest of the year?
I think we can announce the Switzerland event,
Yeah.
November 1st, in Zurich, Switzerland. That's going to be huge, unbelievably big.
November 1st.
November 1st.
Yes. The day after the Swiss Open.
Right.
So you could come and watch and participate on Friday and watch on Saturday.
That's right.
So it's locked in. So Swiss Open is not going. It's not changing anytime soon. So we will have VIP packages and regular ticket prices as well. So feel free to book your tickets to Zurich.
Yeah. Well, actually, you know what? I would stop short of booking your tickets yet because it's locked in. Verbally, everything's all set. We still have to sign, to sign a bit. So I wouldn't want somebody to buy a ticket
true.
and then have something go wrong. But I don't think it's 99%, set. We just don't have the signature yet. We're waiting for it.
Yeah.
And it's actually my fault. I'm so far behind on everything that trying to stay above, head above water for the next events, and November events quite a ways away, but it's super important. So I'm dropping everything to make sure we get that locked up.
Yeah. Well, guys, this is a really good session. Lots of good questions. I'm just happy and proud of Adam and the team that there isn't any glaring major production issues, and you can expect that from our events going forward. Do the best of our abilities. We're gonna address every issue. If there are more issues that you're uncomfortable putting on the group chat, feel free to email me at dexter@evwsports.com, and I'll respond. In a no more than a couple days at most. So, Robert, any closing comments?
No, just thank you everybody for your support. It's amazing. Great. I can't imagine a better group of people than arm wrestlers in the arm wrestling community. So thank you all for your amazing support.
And a quick shout out to our 4 sponsors, starting with Zenter, Grip Arm Sports, Cup Pop, and the world best coffee, Gold Star Coffee. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys.